So we are going to start this project, which is it's a three-tier architecture. We have three subnets, and each subnet represents three layers of infrastructure that we're going to build. So the first subnet there is the pink one, which is the internet-facing subnet, the public subnet. The next one is the green, which is an internal subnet, a private subnet, and the last one is the blue, which the green one contains our application servers, which are private, and then the blue one is the second internal private subnet, which hosts our Elastic file system and our database. So at the top of the schematic, you will find DNS53, which is the first point of interaction from customers and clients, and it goes down, sends the traffic to the internet gateway, which resolves DNS addresses and sends it to an application load balancer, which is the ALB that you see there, and that sends the traffic, by balancing, sends it to the Nginx proxy.
Sorry. I don't know if it's just me, but I'm not seeing anything on the screen.
No, we can't share. Okay, I've not started sharing screen. Okay, let me share my screen so that I only just said everybody should go and look at it from the listing, but I'm sharing the screen now. Can we see?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All right, great. So I just talked about our clients hitting on the DNS name, and then it's on Route 53, and it goes to our internet gateway, and then it hits our application load balancer. This is the external facing load balancer, the internet facing load balancer, and then it sends our traffic to our first subnet, which is the pink subnet, right? And this pink subnet, you have three resources there. You have the NAT gateway, you have the Bastion host, you have the Nginx server, which serves as a proxy to the proxy. So, and then we from there, the Nginx, when the application load balancer sends traffic, it sends the same traffic to the internal load balancer. There is another ALB there. This internal load balancer now sends traffic that it receives right to our application server. We have a web server here for the application that our company runs on, and then we have another server for the DevOps team, or the production team, or the dev team, for them to test and build and do all that stuff for us. So, and if you notice, you see that these servers are hooked up, connected to our Elastic file system and also to our database. So now, if we come up here, we'll see that the Bastion host and the Nginx proxy server, they are scaled by an auto-scaling group. They are covered by an auto-scaling group. So they are set up to be auto-scaled in case of spikes in traffic, right? So if you come down here to the internal subnet where you have application, you will also see the same thing, that both servers here are set up to be auto-scaled. So they are behind an auto-scaling group. They are inside an auto-scaling group. So basically, this is the architecture. It's in a VPC. Everything you're seeing is in the cloud in a VPC, and we have two main availability zones for high availability. Anytime you hear high availability, the need for high availability, think of more than one availability zone, right? Anytime you hear disaster recovery, we need to prepare for disaster recovery, think of multiple regions, right? And anytime you hear performance, the requirement for performance, think of auto scaling, right? So that's it. So this is the architecture. If you notice, the Bastion host is not connected to the application load balancer. It is just there, and we're going to connect this Bastion host to all these applications. It's going to be able to SSH into the Nginx, the servers, and our database. You see, it's going to be able to SSH into that. So that's the structure that we're looking at. So if we are ready, I assigned the pink subnet, which is, we have 6 subnets here. Subnet 1, public, subnet 2, public, and the private, we have 4. The green one is private subnet 1, private subnet 2, the blue private subnet 3, private subnet 4. We're going to create 6 subnets. So I assigned the pink one, which we'll start with, to I assigned it to, I think, Wendy. So I would want I would want her to immediately, because we're going to create the VPC now. That's what I want to start now. So I want her to quickly go ahead and tell us what we need to, what resources are there so we can start. Hello. Okay, it looks like Wendy is not available, but I know somebody's there. So let's go ahead. Okay, so from our schematic, what we need to do is to build VPC from the scratch. I already have some VPCs here.
Okay. I'm sorry,
Right.
if Wendy is not available, I think he said I should take the third one. So can I take the first?
Come on, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can just, you will be doing it and then I can just be, or how do we do that?
Yes, so I'll start with the VPC, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
because I will be looking at the schematic, so I'll need you to just tell me what you have in the first subnet. In the first subnet, which is a pink subnet.
Yeah. So the first thing to do is to configure our VPC and then the NAT gateway.
Okay, so let's look at where we're all seeing our VPC string, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. So let's start with the VPC. So we'll give it a name. What do we give this? Somebody can suggest a name for us.
Project VPC.
Sorry?
Project VPC.
Good. So our project VPC. This is our project VPC. So we'll go on. We'll pick a CI.
Our side 10.0.
Huh?
10.
I already have 10. I have 11. So let me just take 12 so that we move on.
Okay.
Right. So we picked our CIDR. We picked our CIDR. Oh, sorry, I have it. We'll pick our CIDR block, right? We've done that. And then we leave our tenancy at default. We'll have our tag with our name. We create our VPC. So, okay. Can you just give me some time? I'm in a training, just please. Sorry, I'm in a training right now. Just quickly, just give me some time. Yeah. Okay. So we picked it. The next thing we need to do, let's create our internet gateway.
Yeah.
We'll give it the same thing, project internet gateway. Okay, the tag is there already. We create internet gateway. The next thing we need to do is to create, let's create two route tables. If you notice, we have two subnets where you have those infrastructure that we need to route. So we'll create two route tables. Project route table 1. We'll put it in our VPC. Where is our VPC? Project VPC. We have name is already tagged. We'll create that. We'll create a second one. Route table 2. The VPC tagged already. We create. In this project, you will learn to work with tags. It's very important. So we go back to our VPC and let's attach our internet gateway. Sorry, we select our VPC. We come here. Oh, sorry. Where's our internet gateway? That's our internet gateway. We select our internet gateway. We go to attach to VPC and we select the new VPC we just created, right? And then we attach. So that part is done. If you look at our schematic, we have done that attachment from the internet gateway to our VPC. Okay, and we've created our route tables, right? So let's create our subnet. We create subnet. How many subnets did we say we will have?
3. 3 private and 3 public. Altogether 6.
We're going to have 6 subnets, right?
Subnets.
So first are going to be public, right? So
Yeah.
let's start by establishing our VPC. We'll take our VPC. Great. So now we're going to subnet. This is subnet 1, subnet 2, subnet 3, subnet 4, subnet 5, subnet 6. Great. So we're going to start and create the first 2 we said are going to be public, right? Public subnet 1. So, well, we are working, look at the schematic. How many availability zones do we have?
I think 4.
Availability zones.
Availability zones.
It's 2.
Oh, 2.
2 availability. So
There are 2 availability zones.
Great. So that is very good for us to follow up with that. I wanted to just make sure, let me share the screen again on this. Okay, maybe because I'm on full screen, I'll take it down a little bit, okay. Well, I don't know why I can't find it on my Teams to add it. But it shouldn't be difficult to. Where are you? Okay, I found it. Okay, so are we seeing now?
Yeah.
So this is one availability zone, the light blue line there, and this is the second availability zone. So in both availability zones, we have duplicate subnets. So that's why we have 6. So anything we are going to create now, these 2 subnets, we'll put one in A, we'll put the other one in B. Second one, A, B. Last one, A, B. We are building our VPC from scratch. This will be the backbone of our infrastructure. Great. So public subnet 1, if we can see, project public subnet 1. And then let's put it, where are we putting it?
In public subnet,
1A. Remember, this thing is not Virginia, right? So put it in 1A. Right, great. And then we assign a CIDR block, which is a subset of this. So let's give this 12.0.1.0/24. Right, we'll assign that the first one. The name and the tags are already there. Let's move on to the second subnet. I can just copy this. Subnet 2, paste. We're going to now put it in. Great. And then we pick our CIDR block. The first one was 1.0. This is 2.0. The tag is already there.
Sorry, Vic. The second one, are you not supposed to change as in the number 1? Maybe you name it 2 or something. The project public subnet. I mean, it's the same name as the first one you created.
Yes. Thank you. So the first one is public subnet 1. The next one is public subnet 2. Both are public. Right? So we are going to move on to the next one. The next one, what did you say is going to be?
Private subnet.
Great. So private subnet 1, and it's going to be in, we have just 2 availability zones.
1A.
Great.
1A.
We're going to do 12.0.3.0/24. Right? The tag is, the key is name, and our tag is already there. We'll go to 4.
Hello, Mr.
Yes.
Okay, I was just thinking at times, so I was trying to suggest something.
Yeah.
On the private arrow block.
With
Can you hear me?
Private what?
Private CID arrow block.
Yes.
I want you to do something. I don't know if you can be using like the way a private IP range is supposed to be, so that people can understand private IP, public IP. The really as in like 172 or 192 thing.
Okay, you want me to use the 172 range?
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, we are here
You understand what I'm saying?
I
Yes,
understand
I know.
completely, but I mean, if you throw more light on it,
Yes,
Either way, this will also
how to
work.
set up the public. Okay, do your thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's understand why he wants us to use that 1.7. Let's understand what he wants.
Okay, for private IP, when you're setting the private IP, it's different from the way they were actually teach us in. So with all of us, we know that if you don't see, you know that private side is 192, which we have in our normal router at home and so on. But public IP can be this regular one that we're inviting.
Okay, so now the challenge will be, what about how do we remove that? How do we set it and it's not going to be part of this VPC CIDR block?
Try it and see. No, not for, is that for private?
No, this is our
Not
VPC CIDR
talking
block.
about check. Okay, I get what you're saying. Private, be there. Just go to the private CIDR block. Type in 172. Let me see something.
Okay, but it may not take it. So by the time I click, I ask it to take
Private.
it will tell me. Anyway, let's go ahead. So this is now. So if I do this as private, then I won't need to take 3 there. I'll just come here and take 1. Because everything has changed. I was just trying to follow it serially so that everybody can, pick it. So that's that. But we'll see when we click create. Right. So this is private 1, right? On availability zone A. Okay. So we'll take the next one. And it will be private subnet 2 and in availability zone B. And we'll give it 172.2.0/24. Right, let's see this.
A 0 should come before that too.
Okay. Private subnet 3, which is the data layer on, put 1 in A, and we'll take 172.0.3.0.
I have a question here. Is the
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry?
I have a question. Is 172 is a random number or it's just arbitrary or what is that? 172.0.3.0.
It's CIDR block, IP address block for the subnet, private subnet.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And then we go to the last one, which is private subnet 4. Let's see what we give the other one. 3, yeah, good. And then we put it in availability zone B. Right. .4. Okay, so I think we are done. So, but I want to see how this works. Yeah, so that's what I was trying to tell you. You see, because it's not within our VPC, right? See, if you look at to select all the ones that we didn't put within our VPC will not be accepted because our VPC CIDR block is this. So subnets are subsets of your VPC CIDR block. So that's how it works. So you see, if you notice, you see the first one, I took a subnet of this, I changed this to 1, right? And I was following serially, I changed that to 2, and then we decided to change it here. So that's why I said, let's just try it and see. But if I go now and change it, you see that it will take it 3, 4. Remember, we have 6 subnets. 5, and the last one 6. So let's click and see if it will work. You see, it's creating our subnet.
Yeah, so it's still good that he asked that question. At least we've learned something from the question he asked.
Thank God that this is, you see, that's why we're doing what we're doing. It's always a learning point. You see, we've created our 6 subnets. So now we are going to work on our route table. The last thing I'm going to create when we are done at the tail end will be NAT gateway, because this one costs money. So our route table, we have 2 route tables, right? Project 1 and project 2. So we are picking first one. This one will be the one for the public. Do we give it a name that will make us know? Public, right? So that we'll know that one is the public one, and this is a private one. Okay, so we pick the public one. The first thing we do is associate our subnets with it. And we look at the schematic. What subnets are we assigning with our public? We are going to assign the public subnets with our public route table. If you look at that, we have public 1, that's the first one, and public 2, that's the second one. We assign it to it, right? And then we go to our private subnet. We go to subnet associations, click edit, and we are going to So please can you organize that? Can you mute Innocent? Oh, okay. So let's attach, right? So we have this private subnet. We have 4 to attach. So 4, we have the numbers already, 3, 2, private 1. So we assign them.
Public there, check very well.
Pick the public.
You're checking it. Oh, no, go back. Just the public. You have to associate that one now. Can you see it?
Yeah, come to the
You heard me,
public.
Mr. V.
We'll come to associations. We edit, right? I've done it before, right? I've done it before in the public. So I'll just select it. Let's start again. Public subnet 1. Public subnet 2. Save. Then the private edit subnets. We have private subnet 1, private subnet 2 is missing there. That's it here. And we save. Okay, the next thing, we'll come back to our public route table and we configure our routes. So you hit routes, edit routes, add route. So if the destination is within our VPC, target our local.
Hello, Mr.
Yes.
Ovio. Please,
Yes.
I want to ask you, this association you're doing, you are reassociating the private subnet and the public subnet app.
No, I'm associating, you know, we have 6 subnets. If you look at the schematic, the public subnets must be associated with their own route table. And all the private subnets must be associated with their own route table. So we created a public route table and a private route table. And we went to this public route table, selected it, and went to subnet associations and edited subnet associations and selected the 2 public subnets that we have based on your schematic, associated it with this public route table that we've selected, right? And we saved it. And then, you know, and after saving, we went back to our private route table and we did the same thing, subnet associations, edit. This time, because it's a private one, we took the 4 private subnets and associated them and saved. So we now went back to the public route table to configure our routes. We're done with this now, right? Okay, we're now clear now.
Let me ask, I'm still not clear. Why 4 private subnets? Why 4?
Did you go to look at the schematic? The second layer, the first subnets, first 2 subnets, 1 and 2, we have 2 availability zones. Right? Okay. So the first 2 subnets are actually in the first 2. If you can see, we have 2 availability zones, and every infrastructure we're going to provision is going to be in these 2 availability zones for high availability. That's why I said anytime you hear the need for high availability, think of multiple availability zones. Anytime you hear disaster recovery, think of multi-region. Anytime you hear performance, I want my infrastructure to perform, spiking and all that. Think of auto-scaling your infrastructure. So the reason why we have these 6 is because we have 2. We could have had 9 if we had 3 availability zones in this thing. Then we would have had another set, you know. So availability zone A, you have 1 public subnet and 2 private subnets. Availability zone B, you have 1 public subnet and 2 private subnets, right? So we created a route table for these 2 sets of public subnet, which was our public route table. And we created a private route table for these 4 because they are not internet facing. These 4 subnets are private, right? While these 2 are public. You see? So if we don't get this right, the infrastructure will not work. Very important.
Okay, so, right on, sir. You're clear enough. Thank you very much.
Great. So if we can see, we are on our routes now. So we're creating for the public route table. We've come to finish with subnets. We're now in routes. So we edit routes. Destination, if you are coming into my VPC, target localhost. Let's add another route. Remember, we attached internet gateway to our VPC. So what if we are going out? We are going out, that's the code for that. Target our internet gateway. Right? Project internet gateway. Select it. That's okay for this. We'll save it. When we have created the NAT gateway, we'll add another one, but I don't want to create it now so that it won't be running. So we go back to our route table and we'll pick our private route table. We come to routes, we edit the routes, and anything coming into the VPC, target localhost, anything within the VPC. Now, for our private route table, we are not going to be able to do it now because I would have said anything going out, target NAT gateway, but we have not created NAT gateway because it will just, it's expensive. So I'm leaving the NAT gateway out, but this is what we should have done. So if I had clicked here, you would have seen the NAT gateway would have come out, but we don't have it yet. So I'm canceling this. We'll come back to it. So I cancel that. So let's move on. Now we come down to security groups. So we're going to create security groups. Now, the first security group we're going to create, if you look at the schematic, we have a Bastion host, right? We're going to secure it. So right, we're going to create that one. So copy it. Well, what I'm going to do here, allow SSH on port 22, right? That's it. Select our VPC and we create inbound rules. We'll go for SSH or 22 and we assign it to my IP. It will look for my IP. Then it will pick my IP out. So where is it? So maybe to refresh. Let's start again. Select the VPC, go for inbound rules, select SSH, hook it up to my IP. Great, that's my IP there. Outbound must always be 0, that's okay. We create our tag, name, put the name of the security group, and we save. We'll go back, we'll create the next one. What's the next infrastructure there? We have Nginx, right? Great, we'll copy. Nginx, what do we want? We want our Bastion to be able to access our Nginx, right? Right, and we want our application load balancer, the external one, to have access on port 80, right, and port 443, right? So so let's just leave it that way anyway. Right, so we select our VPC, we add our inbound rules. How many rules? For the Bastion, we need one rule. For HTTP, we need one other. For HTTPS, we need another. So we have 3 rules. 2, 3. We go for SSH, right? We leave it at custom. We go for HTTP. We go for HTTPS, right? For SSH, we hook it up to our Bastion security group, right? That's it here. So we are secure. For HTTP, I'm not done with this. I'll come back with this. Maybe what I need to do is to create our application load balancer security group first, right? So what do I do here? Okay, I'll turn this one to application load balancer. All right, application load balancer, so that we can move forward. And this will be the external application load balancer security group, right? So this one will be allowing access from the internet on port 80 and 443. That's all about that. Let's check our VPC again. We'll pick our VPC. So that's just two groups, right? Two rules. So this 80, it will come from anywhere. HTTPS comes from anywhere. That's the internet, right? So we add our tag, name. We'll go and copy the name at the top there.
Sorry, Ove, a quick question.
Yes.
How do we determine if I to create 2 or 3 security groups? I don't know, I'm kind of lost.
What is what?
How do we determine either we are to create 2 or 3 or 1 security group?
Okay.
Inbound rule, sorry, inbound rule.
Oh, the inbound rule. So inbound rule is it's a, let's come here now so that info, always click info, right? So the traffic source to allow for inbound rules, or the traffic destination to allow for outbound rules, right? So now inbound rules is what do I want?
I don't think
Eh?
I don't think you understand him properly. How do you decide either to put 3 rules?
How do you know how many you put here?
I know when to input 3 or 2 rules to a security group.
Yes. How do you know the number of rules you put?
Yes.
Yes, to one security group. Asking, yes.
Okay, so we'll go back again here. So we can see, right? These are all AWS, in fact, networking best practices. You know me, I started this in June. I had zero experience in anything IT. So we're all in the same boat together. But let's go. So now you have to follow the traffic and you have to determine as a solutions architect, what do you want to access your resource? These are all resources, right? What do you want to be able to, for example, Nginx, or let's say application load balancer. What do you want to access this application load balancer? By default, you know that an application load balancer receives traffic and distributes traffic in a balanced way, right? And we know, you must know the use. We know that the internet gateway sends traffic to the infrastructure. We decided to put an application load balancer here so that it can feed both infrastructures in both availability zones, right? And what is coming into this place? Because this is an external application load balancer. The only thing entering here is coming from the internet, through the internet gateway. And it's either, so you have to, the only thing you have to open here is port 80, which you know, for HTTP, and port 443 for HTTPS. So those are the two rules so it means you have, so the number of rules you want to open will be determined by the number of ports that you want to allow access. So for this application load balancer that is externally facing, there are only 2 ports you want to open, port 80 and port 443. That's where you have those 2, the inbound rules. That's what is coming inbound into the load balancer. That's why we have 2 rules. When we come to a place like this web server now, when we are creating the security group, you see that the rules will change. It won't be just 2 rules. Are you saying it? But Just know that the number of ports that you open, you decide to open, determines the number of inbound rules you will have. And the port you will open is determined by the kind of traffic you want. If I want a secure traffic, I open port 443. If I want a non-secure traffic, I open port 80. But if I want both, then I open both ports. So that means I'll have two rules, right? Okay. I hope you got it.
Yeah, I got that. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so that's why you see that, and our access is from clients all over the world. So that's why we are leaving this at just 0, 0. Outbound is always like this. You want your infrastructure to be able to access the internet. We've created a tag. We've given it a name. This is the external load balancer, and we create. The next one we're going to create here is, we've created our bastion, right? So let's create, we're walking down into the infrastructure. Let's create engines. Nginx security group. So now for Nginx, what do we want? We want it, if you look at your schematic, it is receiving direct traffic from the application load balancer. So that's already, the load balancer is coming with two various types of traffic, port 80 and port 443. So by default, you have to open those two ports also for your Nginx. So that's two rules already. Then you want your Bastion host, which is like our engineer inside, to be able to access each and every resource there. So we have to open port 22 so we can SSH in case there's a problem with our Nginx server internally. We may probably an application, a code. We can go there and SSH into it through our Bastion host and work on it. So you see that you have three rules there already. Apart from that, there is nothing else you want to access your Nginx, you know. So two and HTTP. This is it. Then we pick our VPC. Don't always forget that, right? And then we add those three rules. So the first one is we'll pick our SSH from the Bastion. The next one, pick HTTP, and the last one, we'll pick HTTPS. From the Bastion, you must it must only come from our Bastion security group, right? So that's our Bastion security group. That's the only place that this security group will allow SSH from. Right, from HTTP, it can only come from our application load balancer, the security group of our external application load balancer. See how we are chaining security groups together. From HTTPS, it will still come from the same place, you know, from our external application load balancer. So there is no other place. Nobody can come straight to your Nginx. You must come through your application load balancer first. If not, you cannot gain access. I think we are done with that. We create a tag. Great. We create. The next one is, we are done with that layer, right? We go down to the next layer. What is before the next layer? Is everybody looking at it?
The other application load balancer.
The internal
The
one.
internal application load balancer. Yeah.
Yes. So that's it. So we're creating a security group for that, right? Here, what do we want? We want to SSH. Well, no, we're not SSHing, we're not checking, we're not going into that. We want to be able to have traffic from our Nginx. So we'll chain the traffic from Nginx to the internal load balancer. So it will carry by default the three rules that come from the two rules that come from the Nginx apart from SSH, because you cannot SSH into your load balancer. It's not a server. You understand? It's like a service. I mean, sorry, it's just like it's almost like a small wire or something like that. It's not a server that you can SSH into. So that's it, right? So we go and pick our VPC and we create our two rules. Here, one is HTTP and the other one is HTTPS, right? And then we choose.
Check what you think, please.
Huh? So here it's coming from where? The Nginx security group. Are you tracing how we are chaining this thing? It's coming from the Nginx security group. See how we're tracing it, right? And then we copy. We add our tag. So we create, the next one is what?
So
We have now arrived at our servers, right? So web layer, this is our web layer now, right? This is where we have our application. So here by default, we allow SSH from Bastion on port 22, HTTP and HTTPS on port 80 and 443. Select our VPC, create those three rules, and then from, SSH, HTTP, HTTPS, right? SSH will be from where? From our Bastion security group. We are hooking it up to that. HTTP will be from where? From our internal load balancer security group. The same thing with HTTPS. Our internal load balancer security group, because this is the internal structure now. This one is not external. The web layer is not external. We add our tag.
Sorry, one quick question I don't understand. I think I joined you guys lately, but the security that you are adding to it, are you the one that created them, or I don't know how you came about those security number you're putting on it? Because I was thinking maybe usually the one we used to do supposed to be, instead of the custom, is always anywhere, and all these ones we're doing right now, I think they are custom. You already make them, maybe, I don't know. So, did you created all these SG before you started doing the security inbound rules? I really do want.
Yes, yes. So let me save this one and I'll go back to where we have created them so that you can see.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So let's filter for our security group. Right, so far we have created for the web layer for Nginx, internal load balancer, external load balancer, Bastion host. Right, we've created for all these so far. So we are chaining them together for security purpose. We are chaining them together. So we started with the Bastion host, right? And the Bastion host is just for us to be able to SSH. Then we now went to the external load balancer and opened up port 80 and port 443 for clients to be able to access our infrastructure. Then we went to the Nginx, and then what we now changed the Nginx to our external load balancer, so that anybody entering from the external load balancer the only place you can go is to Nginx. And anybody coming into our security, our infrastructure from the internet, which is from the internet gateway, cannot get to our Bastion, cannot get to Nginx, cannot get to the web layer. The only place you have access to is our application load balancer, the external one. Once you get there, you cannot go anywhere. It will only route you to Nginx. So what we now did was our rules. We now changed our inbound rules so that for HTTP and HTTPS, the source is coming from the security group of our external application load balancer. You understand? Before you just put anywhere, it is vulnerable. Anybody can gain access from there and start entering your infrastructure. We are daisy chaining security for, to secure our application and our database. That's what we're doing. Okay, so we stopped at the web layer, right? So we are now going to go deeper into the last we are going to go deeper into the data layer now, right? That's what is left. So in our data layer, so we are going to do this, call it security group. That's the last layer. That's the blue subnet. That's where we have all that. So we allow, as usual, SSH from Bastion on port 22, right? We allow NFS and RDS, or let me say MySQL. I don't, what's the port again? We'll find out the port anyway when we get there. So we'll pick our VPC. So we have 1, 2, 3. And then we create our 3 rules. First one, SSH. Second one, we're going to look for Aurora, MySQL Aurora. So that's port 3306. The next one is our Elastic File System, which is NFS. That's 2049. See, we're building this infrastructure for this company. So SSH is coming from where, as we now know, we are daisy chaining security groups. Which security group are we going to use? Our Bastion security group. Because that's what we're using to SSH. While to access our database, MySQL, which security group are we going to use? We are going to be using our web layer. You understand? That is the next level before our database. If you look at your schematic, the web layer is after web layer, then you meet the data layer. The same thing with our file system. We also use the security group of our web layer. So we are locked. We have locked this whole thing now, security wise. So this is it. For you to access our database, you must go through the application. This is web layer security group. That's the only place you can't just hit it straight. For you to access us, for us internally to access our data layer, we will use our Bastion host, and we have access. We have opened it through our Bastion host security group. The database will allow us because we are creating this rule in our database security group. You see? So we add our tag. Always remember tag. It makes your work neat. And it allows for traceability. Data layer security group. Right? And that's it. So apart from NAT gateway, which I have not created, so that then I'll update the route table, we are done here. Oh, sorry. We go back to our subnets. Remember, we created 2 public subnets, 4 private subnets. So I want us to go back there and check the public subnets. Let's look at them. Public subnet 1. We go to actions and edit subnet settings and confirm that it is internet ready. It is not, right? So we have to enable or to assign IPv4 and save it. So that becomes a public subnet. We go to the public subnet 2 and we go to do the same thing, edit subnet settings, we enable it, right? So we have 2 public subnets that are actually enabled. If you go to these ones now, you see that they are not enabled, right? You leave them like that because they are meant to be private subnets. So, and then when you click them, you will not see any public IPv4. That's how you know anyway. You won't see it when you look for your this thing. You will not see it.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Please
Go
let me
ahead.
confirm. So going to want to edit and to check the public there signifies that they are now internet facing, public facing.
Yes, exactly.
So that actually differentiates them from the private subnet.
Correct. So I did that for just these 2 because these 2 are meant to be internet facing, while these 4 are meant to be internal, non-internet. So we've achieved that. So what have we done here in our VPC console? We've created our VPC, right? We've attached our internet gateway, which we created, to the VPC. We created 2 route tables, one for the internet facing subnets, the other for the internal subnets, and we mapped out our routes, and also we attached our subnets to the route table, right? The ones for the internet facing subnets, we attach them to the public route table, and the private one to the private route table. We went down to our security groups, and we created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. According, we are moving on 6, about 7, 3, 6, 7 security groups. So, we did that based on all the infrastructure we had to protect our infrastructure, and we daisy chained them together. Any questions?
Excuse me, please. Did you enable the DNS name?
What? In the subnet?
Did you enable the DNS?
Well, I did not, but that's not a big issue because our application is not public facing, it's in the private subnet. So DNS does not have anything to do with that now. You see, because we are going to. Sorry?
Sorry, what was the number for that remote desktop project?
Remote
desktop protocol. Now your RDX you selected. What's the port number? What's the protocol number?
the database. Somebody is admin.
Not
Can
the,
you let somebody in? Somebody is outside, wants to get in the
it's
inside the.
Yes, please try and let him in.
the RDX.
Okay, for RDS 3306. For
3306.
RDS is 3306. You get the video now. Where is it here? Data layer. That's it, 3306. And then our network file system is 2049. Remember in our schematic, we have these two resources there. So we are done here, right? So the next thing we need to do, let's pull up our, let me pull this thing up again. Okay, so if you look here, you'll see that we have been able to secure all these infrastructure. We have been able to lock them, right? Chain them to one another up to this point. So what we are going to now do, the next thing we're going to do is to connect our application servers to our Elastic file system and our database. But before we do that, we need to create our file system. We need to create our database. We need to also establish our private encryption key, right? And we need to generate our HTTPS certificate because we're going to need HTTPS for Route 53 to resolve our DNS later. That's why we have been opening port 443. So I just wanted us to know that that's where we're going now. So let's go. Okay, so now we go straight to, we are done with that, right? VPC. We'll go straight to our certificates. I've already created a certificate, but I'll just show you, right, the way to do it. You come to AWS Certificates Manager so that you can have SSL TLS certification, request a certificate, right? A public certificate, yes, click next. You give your certificate a name. I've already given mine. Just give it, if you want to use any subdomain with it, so you just give it a star dot your domain name, which I've already done, right? You can decide, since I've done that, if I was not doing that, I would have done this. I would have done this, right? I would have done this too. So at least I have, if someone types this, he will get to my domain. If someone uses this, it will get to my domain. But because I want any type of this thing you want, that's what I'm doing, star dot, right? And that takes care of it. Every other thing, don't forget to add your tag. You enter your name. I've done this already, so I'm not going to, I'm just, so, or you give it your own name. Maybe it won't take this one. Right. So that's it. So when you create it, it will now take a while before it is issued. But I've done it already. This was the old one I did. This one now is the one we're going to use. And from here you can resolve it straight to Route 53. You see, create records in Route 53 straight. You will create two CNAME records. It will create a CNAME record, right? And when you go to Route 53, you'll see it there automatically created. So we are done with this. right? We've been able to create our SSL certificate so that we can use HTTPS. The next thing we are going to do is to go to Elastic File System. That's our network file system, and create a file system. We'll give it a name. Right, that's our Elastic. We choose our VPC. Where is our VPC? This is it. We leave it as standard and we'll come to hit customize. If you want it to be in one zone, then you click one zone. That is, it will just be maybe availability zone A. You understand? But here we are keeping it across multiple zones because we have two zones, A and B. That's why we're choosing standard, right? And so we have not created our key, our KMS. So let's go to KMS console, right? This is KMS as our key service. We'll create the key. All these are just to ensure security, encryption. We leave it as symmetric, and then we click next. We give it an alias name, right? So right. So we add a tag. We create it. Now we have to define who has the permission to use this key. Remember, this is my account. So in an organization, all the users will be here, or the groups or whatever. Then you select the one you want to have access, right? To be able to encrypt and decrypt. So I'm choosing my own name, right? And then you go next. Right, the same thing. The users and roles or whatever that can access and use this encryption key that we want to create. I'll still click my name. If you want to add other AWS accounts, you can. We'll go next, and that's the policy there. This is it, right? And then we click finish. Let me go up just to check. Okay, good. We click finish. So we have created our key, right? So we can now go back to our Elastic file system and look for our key. That's it there. So we attach our key so that anything coming into this our network file system is encrypted and can only be decrypted by us, right? So we create our tag. Give it a name. And we hit next. We'll come to network. It's already selected our VPC. Now we're going to mount the targets of this file, right? So by default, we have only two availability zones. So they are by default selected, right? So what subnet is our data layer?
That should be 5 and 6.
Okay, So, but what of the application? Our subnet, the subnet is in subnet 3 and 4, 5 and 6, sorry. But the application servers, they are the ones we want to mount this file system to. So, and they are in subnets 3 and 4, right? Which here we have is private subnet 1. In our what do you call it now? In our availability zone A, we have it as private subnet 1. In availability zone B, we have it as private subnet 2. We remove our security group. We are going to now allow access to our data layer security group. That's it here. Because this is part of our data layer subnet, right? Where we have our RDS and our network file. We have to allow access to it. So that's why we are giving this, we are hooking it up to our security group in our data layer. And then we can select mount, right? Everything is okay here. We look at everything is okay. We click create. So we now have, it's creating, right? If I click this one, this one I already did before, I'm just looking through it. Okay, so I'll go back now. I'm sure it should be created by now. Oh, so it's available. So the next thing, we're going to create access points with which we will use to it's like endpoint. We'll create access points, and then we choose the file system we just created, right? We choose it, and then we give our access point a name. So now we have two layers in our two servers, one in one availability zone A, the other in availability zone B, that are in charge of our application. One of them is for production, where the customers will access. The other one is for the dev team, where they can do their testing, they can at the back end and all that. So we'll give one, let's say let's give it WordPress, because we'll probably use WordPress. Yeah. So access point. And let's default it to, normally this area now, I don't want to go too much into this, but we can default it to a file that we can name health status. You know, we can name that file later inside the application servers, right? These are POSIX. These are all values from 0 to this. 0 represents your root value, your root folder. So we are using that 0, 0, 0, 0. Then our directory path, we need to give permissions. Now this permission is 0755. You saw it there just now. So that we have permission to access. And then we enter our tag. We give it a name, and we enter the name of our access point. Create that. We'll go ahead and create the second one. We select our file, our Elastic file that we created, and then we give it an access point. So let's call this one dev team, right? That's the development team, and we'll give it a path health status, right? And then the same thing here again. Put a tag. We create access point. We are done here. Yeah, it's available. The next point where, let's take this way. We go to RDS, and let me stop this one temporarily. We create database. Come on. Okay, so we're still using MySQL in this. Just also for you to know, I've not used Postgre, Oracle. I've just started this thing like all of us. So I've really not had the time to explore these ones to know how they work. So um, that's why.
Mr. Obi,
Yes.
if you just started, how come you know more than me?
Sorry.
I said, how come you know more than me if you just started? So what's
Who
the
told you
secret?
that I know more than you? Who told you that? You don't.
I just told myself now. I just told myself, and from experience.
I don't know more than you. We are all learning here. That's the truth, right? We are living our.
I am learning from the down top. You are learning from the top.
No, let's give this name.
We are just blessed having you in this team.
Okay, no, never. Don't want to say that. Well, we thank God, project DB, let's give it that name. Our admin, we'll leave it as admin by default. Our password is admin, we changed it, admin. One, two, three, four, five. That's the password. And then let's go for T2 micro. We select this to go for previous old classes. So T2 micro. Then we come down. 200 gig is too much. It will charge us. Let's limit it to 20 gig, right? And then connectivity, we'll leave it there. We select our VPC, project VPC, right? Sorry, there's something I didn't do here. I'm supposed to create a new DB subnet group before we start. So I'll leave this place. Let's come here to subnet groups, right? Still on your RDB, this thing, on your RDB, RDS console. Just first thing you need to do, come here to subnet groups. Create DB subnet group, right? So that we're going to attach it to our database when we are creating it. I forgot. So project subnet group, right? Let's just give it that name. So right, so we choose our VPC, and then we add our subnets in our data layer. What were the availability zones? Sorry, A and B, right? Those are the two we're using. Our subnets from the data layer, what are they? In A, we had 5.0, this one. In B, we had 6.0, that's that one. So those are the two subnets for the data layer we create. So we have our subnet group done. So let's go back to our database and start. So we create a database. Normally, all this stuff is supposed to be automated, but you know, it is good to know the process. I don't know about, I've not studied automation yet. I have the videos and all that, but I'm just focusing on knowing the manual thing first, so that when I'm doing automation, it will be I can follow what they are doing. So free tier, you know, and then we give it our name. Admin, the default password is admin 12345. Right, we take T2 micro, so we activate this so we can have access to T2 micro. We change our drive to 20 gig instead of 200. Select our VPC, and our subgroup is already activated. It's already picked it up here. So good.
I think I can't see your screen from this end. I don't know if it's the same everywhere.
It's visible here.
Pardon?
See your screen.
Yo, no, we can see you.
Okay, the video will be available now, so you still see it. So it will be, our database is going to be in the back layer, so no public access, right? Our VPC security group, you know, we created one that time for data layer, right? We'll have to go and look for it. That's it here. And our availability zone, well, if we like, we pick. If not, it will still select for us. We only have 2 availability zones, right? So additional configuration, we'll create a name for our initial DB. So project will be the name. And that's basically what we have done so far. I think that's it. We create our database. Okay, so we are done here. While this is creating, we can now move on to our instances. And we start creating our instances so that we can start SSHing into this infrastructure we have created. So we click launch instance. So how many instances do we need right now? From our infrastructure, we need a Bastion, we need Nginx, and we need a web layer, which we can later split. So I'll pick 3 instances, right? I don't need to give it a name here because we're going to change the name. Let's take Red Hat. We're going to choose Red Hat this time, right? T2 micro, we take our key pair, we edit here, and we'll pick our VPC. We take our subnet, public subnet, right? Because we're going to work on it a little bit, and right, we'll select our security group For this one, we can take a default security group, in fact. So let me just look for, or let me create a security group for it. I want to open everywhere. So I'll go back to my VPC where we started. Security groups, create security group, right? AMI. I just want to this one will be for all the AMIs we are going to be creating. So allow SSH on port 22 and the we want to open our ports, that's just the point. Let me just leave this, let me, so we'll pick our VPC, we add one rule, all traffic, right, from anywhere, so that there will be no restrictions because we want to build our AMI. That's just what we want to do. After that, we can now bring them back into our security infrastructure. We are done here. Create. So let's come back to security groups, instance, project, AMI security group. Yeah, that's it there. We select that. I think we are good here. We are good here. So we launch instance. Your instances, 3 instances are there. So as far as our infrastructure, we have provisioned everything. What we are now doing is we have done that. We have secured the infrastructure with our security groups, and we are now trying to connect our system, our database layer and our network file to the web layer. That's all. That's what is just left, right? So we can give this one. And give that bastion. We can give this Nginx. And we can give this web server. So basically that's it. So we can, I think they are all running well now. All running, you know, they are initializing, but we can still connect. So I'll take SSH and okay, so by default, my keeper is on my desktop. So let me just CD back to my desktop, right? And I paste this. Yes. Okay, so we are here now. So this part now, I don't know whether we should do it because there's a lot of commands. So if I don't want to bore you people with commands, you know. I don't want to do that. So, but this is where we are now. So what I will do is I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. I won't explain anything. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing just to prepare the server, right? So I'll just be doing that. I'll create another, although you won't see that one. If I create another, let me see. Okay, you won't be able to see that. So let's just, you can do other things until this one runs its course. Okay, we're out of here. Great. So let's go back to, I won't show you that screen because there's no need. I'm picking my Nginx SSH command so that we can SSH into our Nginx server. So I'm going to continue my thing. It's basically just the same thing. I'm just only preparing I'm just like, you know, installing HTTP, installing PHP, all those things that, you know, in our application. And then that's all I'm just doing, nothing else. So don't worry about this. This one is not part of the thing, but I just want, we have to just do it quickly to rest. this host name, I need to pick my internal DNS IPv4 DNS name. I need to pick that. Copy. Okay. So let me do the last one, which is a web server connect. Remember, these servers are completely empty, so you have to do stuff to get them, it's like installing Microsoft and all those things. This particular thing, if you know the struggle, I struggled with it to get it to work. But that's the job anyway.
Okay, the class is still on. Ovie is taking his time to ensure that the codes are running right.
Yeah, just ignore this side. Ignore this part. This one is not. This one
Well,
is
it's
just.
something, but in the long run, something we have to learn.
If you want, if you want, I can send you the codes, but it's a lot of information, you know. Because of the name we have, I'm adjusting some of the names. You know, we give all our infrastructure is named project, so I need to go back and do all those things. So I just want to, let's just run this. This one is not, I'm not talking anything about this. This is not our area. So say in the company now, you guys have provisioned this and you pass it to the DevOps guy. So the DevOps guy is doing his work, basically. That's what is going on now. This is just like entering my database information and all that. Okay, let me pick the DNS private name IPv4 from the web server. Okay. Just be patient with me. Oh. Right. Okay, so we are back to our instances. They are all running now. Right. So let me just try. Let me even see this Nginx. Let me even see what is there. I've not even resolved it anyway. Okay, so well, I'm not done, but in a nutshell, let me not drag this whole thing too much. From here, what I'm supposed to now do is to create an AMI, which you select for the bastion, you come here, you come down to create images and templates, you create an image, right? I will say this is um, AMI. Right, that's it. We had our tag. Always use tags. Very good, very important. We create our AMI. We come to Nginx. Same thing. Come here, create image. We create our tag. Put name there. We create. Come back to web server. Same thing. Images. Create. Here. Create two AMIs because we have two websites there. Create. Great. So we've done our AMI. the next step we're supposed to go to is to, let's check.
I have a question here.
Okay.
So why do we need an image here? Do we need image?
Yes, because we are supposed to create, after that we're supposed to create a launch template from our AMI, right? So what we are doing is we are creating an infrastructure, right? In our infrastructure, we develop the application, we provision the application in the infrastructure, and once that is done, everything is running, then we create an image out of it, so that when we create our auto-scaling group, it can pull from that image and launch new instances that will be ready to go. So that's why we are creating an image, because eventually, once the AMIs are done, I will terminate those instances. The AMI, let's see. So they are still pending. These are the 3 AMIs. They are still pending. It will take a while. It will take probably up to like 5 minutes or 6 minutes for them to be provisioned. So while that we're waiting for that, we can come down and create target groups for these for our infrastructure. Remember, we are developing. Remember, we are creating an auto-scaling group, right? So you remember we have auto-scaling group, 2 auto-scaling groups. One for the public subnet layer, the other for the first private subnet layer where you have our application servers. So for you to achieve your auto-scaling group, we don't want to start running those commands I did all every time. So we've done that. It's not perfect. I didn't get everything I'm supposed to do there, so I'm not really worried about that. I'm worried about what I'm trying to just show you is how to provision this infrastructure, right? So once we are done with the server installation and all that, we are good. We now create an AMI. From that AMI, that image, we now create target group. From the target group, we create, once we get our target groups, right, for each of these layers, remember there are 2 auto-scalings. We do the same thing we do for here, we do it for this. We create our target group, right, and then we create our load balancer. Once we are done, then we now finally create our auto-scaling group. For our auto-scaling group, we will create for this public layer only for Nginx and Bastion. If you see that, we are auto-scaling Nginx and Bastion here for the internet-facing auto-scaling group, or auto-scaling group 1. Auto-scaling group 2, we are only scaling the application server production as a production server and the server that will house the dev website, so that the dev guys can do whatever they want to do. So we'll scale for just 2 resources there, and eventually we'll come down to the database and also scale our file system, our database and all that. So I think basically this is where we are now. We are now going to create a target group while the AMI is getting ready. We are going to create a target group. So I'll go straight back to where we were. Let's check our AMIs. Let's just see. Still pending. These are the 3. They are still pending. Right. So let's create our target group. Create target group. We're creating target group of instances. We'll give it a name. This first target group is going to be, let's say, Nginx target group. Because we have a certificate, we'll take HTTPS, select our VPC, health checks. We'll also do the same thing. Okay, we'll create our tag. Next. These are the instances we've been spinning that's been running, so we won't use them because I'll close them eventually. So I'll just create an empty target group. Eventually, when our AMI is ready and we create our launch template, it will all resolve. Create the second target group. So we say Bastion, also receiving on 443, we take our VPC. Health check. We create our tag. We hit save, next. Create a target group. We'll create the next one. Same thing. We'll hit HTTPS, select our project. Put our tag. Select it. Create our target group. Okay. And then the last one. We'll create a dev team target group where you'll be able to enter so we'll have their own website to monitor the production and all that. Okay, so looking here, I'm not supposed to create busting or delete busting. Okay, let's check our AMI. Still pending. Okay, so we can go ahead and we can't create a launch template yet. Let's go to our load balancer and see what we can do there. So load balancer, application load balancer. That's what we're going to pick. And we're going to create an external load balancer, internet facing. It has to be internet facing. We're going to pick our VPC. Right. And then we're going to pick availability zones. We have just 2. And then we're going to pick the subnets. It has already picked the public subnet 1 and public subnet 2. That's what we're going to use. Security group. We already have a security group for our external load balancer. That's it there. Listening on port 443. Our target group that we just created. This one is what are we creating this one? This external. So our target group will be Nginx, because that's in the public subnet. So that's where this external load balancer will go to. That's where it will send traffic to, right? And our certificates that we created from, where is that certificate? Certificate Manager. This one, we're going to now use it. We're going to now bring it in here, right? Great. And then we add our tag. To the capital, yes. Okay. Copy. Paste. Okay, I think we are good to go. We create the second load balancer. Application load balancer. Create. Internal load balancer. It will now be internal facing. It will no longer be internet facing. Select our VPC. Select our subnets.
Hello, if you can, can you excuse me? Let me ask. The first
Yes.
one was internet facing.
Yes.
That's in the first load balancer. So this is the second one.
Correct.
That is between the first. Okay.
First one is feeding from is sending traffic to our Nginx. This second one now is it's taking traffic from Nginx and it's sending it to our production team server and our development server, our dev team server. This internal one, but we have 2 subnets. So now this, we're going to pick our subnet. This is going to be sending traffic to private subnet 1, and in our zone B, it's going to send to private subnet 2, right? So our security group, remember, we have an internal application load balancer security group. That's it here. See why we were locking it that time? Yeah, so that's why we're doing all those locks. Now we're assigning it again to this load balancer. Help protocol will take HTTPS, and our target group this time will be dev team and WordPress, but we have to pick a primary one. So let's take WordPress because that's for the production, right? We'll later go and amend the rules. to forward any other traffic to the dev team. Our certificate, we'll pick our certificate, SSL TLS certificate, we'll pick it from there. We already created it, you remember. And then we'll give a tag. Let's copy the name here. Okay, so we create our tag. I think we are done here. So we've been able to create, let's filter for this. You see, that's why tags are good. This one is provisioning now. We have 2 availability zones, and right, we've put all these subnets, required subnets, and we are done. You know, we're done. So it will be active. Let's check our AMI. Great, one more, just one more left. Remember, you know, when you are creating an AMI, why it delays is that you are also creating a snapshot. So if you come down to our snapshots, you'll see these very AMIs snapshots still struggling to create, to be copying the whole drive. That's it there. That's what it's pending. We've been able to provision. See, it has created these 2 snapshots. This is the one left now. So that's why it delays. 66%. See, that's why it delays. So every time you create an AMI, you create a snapshot by default. So I think here, the only thing that I think is left is for that one to be ready. Once it's ready, I'll go and delete the instances that are running. And before we do that, while I'm waiting, let me create my NAT gateway. Now, I'll go to NAT gateway, create. NAT gateway. We'll put it in the public subnet. It's always going to be in the public subnet. So we check the public subnet, and we allocate an elastic IP to it. Right. And we'll give it a name. Okay, it's been tagged already. We create a subnet, a NAT gateway. Okay, so it's still pending. Well, while that is pending, let's do a recap. Okay, we can see here, so far, we've been able to provision our VPC, Internet Gateway, attached it. We came down, we created 2 availability zones, A and B, right? We went further to create 6 subnets, 1, 2 public, 1, 2, 3, 4 private. We went ahead to create 2 application load balancers, 1 external facing, 1 private. We are yet to do our auto-scaling group, but we've created our target group, and we've created a load balancer, right, which I just showed you. And we have attached it to our target group. Also, we created SSL TLS certificate for our secure HTTP protocol, and we have attached it to our load balancer, right? And We have provisioned our NAT gateway in our public subnet. We have also created our subnet in our services, servers, production server, and the dev team server. And we have created AMIs out of both and out of the Bastion and out of the Nginx. We are waiting for them to just provision, right? We have created Elastic file system and we have created an RDS. What I will do is I will go into the Bastion and I will access our RDS from there and create when we are done with the AMI, I'll be able to do that and create a database, file. And then we will also attach our Elastic file endpoint to our servers also. And that should be the end of the project. Any other thing that has to do with the application running and you getting access to the website and it's running, that's DevOps area. I'm not going to worry about that. So while we wait, I think what I'll need to do is to go and create my DNS record for Route 53 so that we can access these servers by their DNS name. So let's go there. Okay, this is available now. It has an Elastic IP already, so we are good. Okay, good. So let's go to Route 53. Anyway, let me use this. Route 53. While it's loading, I'll check my AMI again. Still pending. Let's come to the snapshots. Still at 66. Wow. 100. Yeah. So our AMI should almost be done. It will almost be, it should, yeah, so our AMI is done. So I come to our instance. And I terminate them. I don't need them again. I've already created an AMI out of them, so I don't need them again. Great. So while we're doing that, I think we went to Route 53. We go to our hosted zone, right? I have one hosted zone. And then I've already created these records before, but I'm going to delete all of them so that we can create them again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to delete. Good. So let's create record. Simple routing. Next. Define simple record. The first one was WordPress, right? That's the first. We're going to use a record type. Our endpoint is going to be application load balancer. Remember the schematic from Route 53 to application load balancer. Region US East 1. And then we choose our load balancer. So we are going to look for our external application load balancer. That's it here. Project external application load balancer, define record. We'll create another one again. This one, we'll call it dev team, right? A record will come to the endpoint and we click application. We choose our region. We choose our load balancer. Same thing, the external application load balancer. Right, that's it. Define record. Create another record. We leave this one and say www. Right, and then we choose our traffic to application load balancer, our region, and we come back to our external application load balancer. We define the record. So is that all? Right? Can anybody contribute? Is this all? Okay, so I'll create. I feel there's one more there, but okay, so we'll leave it while it runs. We can go back to our instance, and now, so we've created our AMI. So let's go now and create our auto scaling group. Now our AMIs are ready, right? So let's create our auto scaling group. We have project. Bastion auto scaling group. Watch launch template. Have we created our launch template? No, we have not. Sorry. So we go to our launch template. We create our launch template. So we go project, Bastion, launch template. Okay, launch. So the AMI, we choose my AMI. And we search for our AMI here. Project Nginx, Bastion AMI, that's it there. We choose that. Our instance type, TC, T2 micro. Our key pair. Our network. This AMI, this Bastion is going to be in the public subnet. So we can choose public subnet. Let's choose public subnet 2. Yes, public subnet 2. Let's just put it there. As long as it's in the public subnet. Existing security group we already created for Bastion from the start. That's it there. You guys need to let somebody in. People are waiting in the lobby. Can you let them in? And then what else again? We've done that advanced network configuration. Bastion host must have access to the internet, so we want to enable or to assign IP. That's all we need to do here in our advanced network configuration. And we add our tag. Finally recognize that I am almost typing name. So what did I give this? project. Okay. So in my advanced, I'll go and I'll paste my launch. I'll paste my code there. In my advanced, I'll paste my code that I want every time while I'm doing it, every time this server is launched by the auto scaling group action, it will provision this script in the user data. That's just the reason. So I create my launch template. So I go for the second launch template, create. Oh, sorry. Nginx launch template. Right, that's that. We select our AMI. We'll come here, my AMI. We'll look for Nginx AMI. That's it there. Select the AMI. We select type of server, T2 micro. Select our key pair. Select our subnet. Let's put it in public subnet 1. So both subnets are filled now. Our existing security group. We have for the Nginx project, Nginx. Advanced configuration, Nginx must have auto-assigned IP address enabled. We close that. We put our tag. Okay, launch template. Okay, and then we come to user data. This one is not your own anyway. Nginx user data. Let's see what I'm doing here. So let me come to just a minute. I just want to make one change in my configuration file. Once I'm done with this, I'll push it to GitHub so that we can pull it from there. So this is my load balancer. I need to pick my load balancer. I need to pick my load balancer DNS record number. So that it's going to be my internal load balancer DNS record, DNS name, a record. I need to copy that and paste it in my file so that it will be able to proxy, it will be able to send traffic to the internal load balancer. That's all I'm just trying to do there. So let me just quickly push it. You are not seeing what I'm doing. I'm just doing it on my VS Code. push it to Git so that when we launch, it will pick it from there. Okay, we are done. So let's create. We'll create the last we have done, how many have we done now? Let's go. Let me see. Looks like everybody is sleeping. Project Basting 2. Okay, so let's.
We are following you. We are with you.
The silence is golden.
Yeah.
So.
No, we are awake. We are learning.
Okay. All right. So this is project. We have created Basting. We've created Nginx. Let create the production launch template, which is our WordPress. All right. So we select our AMI, my AMI, we created them, so they are ours. We go straight to look for it. Okay, this is the WordPress AMI. And then we select our instance type, t2.micro, our key pair, our launch template. This time this is going to be in a private subnet. So we're going to put it in the private subnet 1. Private subnet 1. Put it there. We can put it in 2. I'm just trying to be logical. That's all I'm trying to just be. For traceability, tomorrow you want to trace, you can, and also following the schematic. So security group. Remember, we created a web layer security group. So this will cover anything in that subnet with daisy chained it. Now, in this subnet, under advanced network configuration, we have to disable or to assign public IP. We don't want it to, have to be accessed from the internet. So that's disabled there. See, all the things we selected here, if you notice, you see, it's already here under security groups. If you don't want to go here, you can just ignore this and come to this network place, open it up and fill all the details, right? But since I've selected subnet, it's already populated it here. Security group, it has populated it as it here, right? So that's why the only thing I just want to do is to disable, because this is in a private subnet. So that's it for this. Select the name, always create a tag, right? So we add our tag. Great. And then we'll go to our user data, which is where I'll just paste my own, this is my own part. Sorry, it has nothing to do with you for now. Okay, so I'm going to my WordPress user data. Do I just get you guys to see this? Because this is part of the attachment, mounting our, okay, what I'll do, I'll just copy only one of the commands. Because if you SSH into your, if you SSH into your this your WordPress server, you must mount the file that we have created, this EFS file. You must mount it. You see, this one for the word, you must mount this thing. And you need a command to do that in the command line. So that's, we haven't created it, we must connect them. So usually when you come to access point, you come here to project, this one we created, you click it, you see attach here, great, you see attach, you click attach, this is your command, this is your mount command. So you copy this one, right? Then we come back to our server. This whole access, this whole command, I'll replace it. And I'll take the EFS out. I don't need that. That's it. So this now, when I launch this server, it will automatically be mounted to that, to this particular access point. This access point will mount it to the file system, this project network file system that we created. Remember, we started creating by the NFS and we went to access point and created 2 access points. One for the WordPress server, the other one for the development team server. We just did the attachment for the WordPress server. Then once we are done, we create our dev team server. When we are creating the launch template, we come here and do the same thing, attach, and we copy this. So I'll leave this first. So I have already, so I'm going to paste all that file that I already did. I'm going to paste it, you know, on the, I just wanted you to see that one, but that's what concerns us. And then I'm going to change, another thing that will concern us is, let me pick them out also for you to see. Okay, so let's come here. I haven't put this one out, I'll remove this. The second thing we need to see is this. This is our database command line command for mounting our database. That the first one I showed you was for our Elastic file system to mount it to our servers. This one is for the database, right? So just to go back, I want us to really get this part so that we don't just think there's somehow you may not be able to avoid commands, you know. So if you look here, you see that after creating our servers, we need to connect it. We need to connect it. We need to connect this. We need to connect it. Right? That's what we're doing. And these are the commands for that. So that's why I just need to show you that. So here, I'm going to pick my RDS endpoint and replace it, and replace that one. So if I go to my RDS, our project is available, right? We select this and come to connectivity and security, and then you see your endpoint. We'll copy that, and we go back and paste the endpoint. Change it, good. So we are mounting that one to this WordPress server. Our username we used back then when we were creating the RDS was admin. Our password was admin12345. And when we later SSH into it through our Bastion, we will create a WordPress DB file. That's why this one is there. Finish. So this is what you need to know. So I'll delete. And I'll copy the full file, which contains those areas that I extracted for you to see. But before I do that, I need to push this whole thing to Git. Okay, so we're done. So I can create the launch template for our web. So we'll go ahead. We'll create the one for the dev team now. Come to my AMI, look for your AMI because we've been using tags. So just go to project and then all of them will come out. So we are still using this WordPress AMI. Yes, I'm supposed to even call it a web server, but we're still using it because it's the same. It's not supposed to be the same. Sorry, it's supposed to be a difference. It's not supposed to be the same. When I was creating that AMI, there's supposed to be a dev AMI. Or did I not create it? Okay, what I will do quickly is to come this way and check my AMIs. Let's filter for project. Okay, so that was the error. I didn't create the dev team AMI. Okay, you know what we'll do? We'll just assume that we'll use the same WordPress for it, right? But what I'm supposed to do was I was supposed to have created a dev team AMI that I would have launched. So this is it. So that's why I'm seeing this. If not, here would have been dev team AMI because it carries its own website. It's different. It's not the same website, you know. So we take T2 micro, we take our key pair. I didn't know why I missed that out. And now we're going to put it in private subnet 2. The other one, we'll put it in private subnet 1. We're going to give our existing security group, right? We already have for the web layer, covers it. We'll go and disable or to assign public IP because it's in a private security group. We give our tag. And we go to our advanced details. I'm just going to paste the same thing because since I'm not able to do that, I'm not able to get that one. If I use it, it won't work. If not, I have the dev team user that data, but since I don't have the AMI, there will be no need to do that. So I'm using the same one. So I hit launch. So we have our launch templates. So we have WordPress, Dev Team, Nginx, and Bastion. So we are good. So now we can now go and create our auto-scaling group. Right, this is the last step. Okay, so create an auto-scaling group. We can give it a name. We are scaling for Bastion. Start with Bastion. So we're gonna look for launch template for Bastion. That's it, the launch template we just created. We've hooked it up. Next, select our VPC, our availability zone. We put this in public subnet 2. Also select public subnet 1, public subnet 2, so that any of those that it is deployed to, it's okay for us. We click next. We are here. Our Bastion is not, if you look at our schematic, Bastion is not connected to any application load balancer. Look at our Bastion, it has nothing to do with it. It's only being auto-scaled. Our application load balancer is going straight to our Nginx, so we will not use application load balancer here. So we'll leave it default, no load balancer. And we'll just go to next. Desired capacity, minimum and maximum, we'll just leave it here as default. Our target tracking policy would select a value of like 90%, so that when the CPU utilization is 90%, it will provision another Bastion, it will scale. That's just what we're saying here. So we click next, add notification. This is, for example, SNS topic, hooking it up to your email. I didn't do it, so I'll just leave it. We add our tag. This was a project. To scaling group, that was it. So review, networking is okay, no load balancer, health checks will be 300 seconds grace period. It's going to be health checking our EC2 directly, right? Scaling size, target tracking is 90% of CPU utilization. And then we give it a tag, create auto scaling group. We hit another one again. This is Nginx auto scaling group. We'll go and pick Nginx launch template for it. Good. Click next, select your VPC. Nginx also is in the public subnet, public subnet 1, public subnet 2. Great. Click next. We have a load balancer, right? Because from our schematic, we are going to receive traffic from our external load balancer into our Nginx proxy server. So we'll click attach existing load balancer. So remember we created empty target groups there, and it was hooked up to our load balancer, right? Empty target groups and hooked up. So now we'll go for that target group. Nginx, we have it here. Select that. Health checks. We don't just want it to be health checking from the EC2 alone. We want health checks also to come from the load balancer. So we'll select that. So that, because the application inside may not be working, but in your EC2, right? In your EC2, you see that where is this? So if I go to instance, see this one now that we did basting has started running. It will be showing here running 2/2 health status check, because the health check is checking the status of the instance itself. You don't want to just rely on that. This just tells you that the instance is working, it is powered on, that's all, right? But what of the application inside? That's why we need to health check. We need to use the elastic load balancer to ping inside the application, and if it doesn't receive signal, then it will flag it. So that's why not just this, we'll add this to the health check. So we go next. We leave our desired capacity for now 1. We set our target tracking policy. Let's do the same thing, 90% utilization scale. We go next. We don't have any notification. We go next. We add tag, name, and then project, Nginx, to scaling group. Next, we review everything. I think it's okay. Public subnet, great. We now have a load balancer, which is the project external load balancer hooked up to our target group. Great. We are health checking both on the instance level and the load balancer level, which hits the application directly. Great. Capacity of scaling is just 1 for now. And then we are using 90% CPU utilization to trigger scaling as our scaling policy. We're using a dynamic one anyway, so that's it. We're doing set notifications, and we have tagged. Great, we create. So let's filter for our project. So we have these two. So the first thing we need to do is to wait for them to be active, and then we can SSH into our basting and create what do you call it now? But do I stop here, because this one now is probably a DevOps area, you know, where we need to SSH into it. So if I go back to my EC2, for example, my instance, and I load here, the basting is already health checked here, 2.2. I can SSH into it, connect. Here now you see it has changed to root, but you can't SSH without changing it. You must change it to EC2 at the point of, you know, accessing your server. Okay, so I've copied the SSH command, I've pasted it, and I'll come here now and change it to EC2. Yes, great. So let's go my SQL page. I'll go and pick the RDS endpoint, and I'll paste it there because I want to create a file. So I paste the RDS endpoint. The username we used was admin when we were creating, and our password, it will prompt us for a password, was admin 12345. So I'll paste it and I'll hit enter. Ordinarily, when I do this, we're supposed to be in our SQL server, and I'm supposed to be able to create stuff. But I told you that I know that the commands and all that, I didn't follow it up meticulously, so I didn't get them right. So I'm very sure that I may not be able to SSH into it, but this is a DevOps area, right? Basically, this is what it is. Then I create my database files, and once I'm done, I exit. You know, once I'm done, I exit, and before I now go and create auto scaling group for my WordPress server and my dev team server. I need to do this first before I go and do that. But yeah, obviously it's not working because I wasn't focusing on that area. So what have we learned today? I think today we've been able to, let's come here. We've been able to create our DNS records on Route 53. We've been able to provision a whole VPC network with a lot of infrastructure there, especially with the security group area. We've been able to attach it to our internet gateway to our VPC. We created two ALBs, application load balancers. One was external and the other one was internal. We created a NAT gateway and attached elastic IP to it. We created a Bastion host and auto-scaled it with our target group. We didn't use a load balancer for this because it's not supposed to be receiving traffic. It's just for our internal work. We also hooked up our load balancer. We created Nginx, auto-scaled it with a target group. We created AMIs from our servers that we provisioned, and then created launch templates from those AMIs. We went further to the subnet, the first internal subnet, private subnet, and we created AMIs of our production server and our dev team server, which had two different websites that we provisioned in Route 53, right? So if you go to Route 53, you saw that we used WordPress.this and we used devteam.this, so that when the traffic comes, it will. Okay, what I didn't do, I did not create in my load balancer. I need to go and do the rules. I'll do this after this quickly. And then we attached with a command our file system that we created and our RDS MySQL that we created were attached to both servers, the production and the development servers. So this is a typical schematic, you know. So when users come in, for example, the dev team comes in, they will use their dev team DNS name, and it will take them straight to the dev team server from where they can do their job. When other customers come, they won't know this dev team DNS name. What they know is the public name, normal one. And they will come and it will take them straight here, right? So when they enter their details of load files, it will come here. When they enter their data details, it will come here to RDS, right? When we have issues with any of these servers, we use our Bastion host to SSH into either this, right, to check. That's why in our security group, we daisy chained all of them together. You see, daisy chained this one, we created this security group, daisy chained it to this, we created this security group, daisy chained it to this, created this security group, daisy chained it to this layer, all right, and created this security group and daisy chained this layer security group to this one. That's what we did. Okay, so let me quickly go back and just show you how to create rules so that in our load balancer, so that we can, when people are accessing our website, it knows what to do. It knows where to forward traffic to. So our project, we are at the end of everything. This is our external, it's going to be our internal load balancer. So this is when we were creating our internal load balancer, we said we should forward all traffic to projects. But remember, to WordPress, there was also dev team target group. So we have to update this rule so that our dev team can access their own server. If not, it will just be forwarding all requests to only this server. So we'll go to actions. After selecting, we click manage rules. This whole setup that we are doing here normally will take 2 or 3 months in a real life scenario to do. So we come here to click plus to add rules. We come here to insert rules and then see the regular rule that we had. When traffic comes on port 443, right, route them to projects. So we need to now add a second rule, which we have brought now. We add a header, host header rule, right? What it means is that if traffic is coming to dev team dot, right, or what will I use again there? Basically, this is enough. If traffic is, if this is the header of your traffic, then forward it to project dev team target group. That's all. Forward it there. But if it is not carrying it, then it will go to WordPress. We save, and we are done. So I will go ahead and go to my auto scaling group quickly and terminate my servers. So here I will change all of them to 0 so that all the servers will be terminated. Because if you can't terminate it there, it will create it will recreate by itself. So you will not have achieved anything. I'll also, okay, this is the one I just did. I'll go to this and I'll edit this too. Turn it to 0 so that when you want to delete, when you want to terminate, if it's not terminating, you go back there, you can terminate it, it won't recreate because the rules have changed. Oh, okay, it's terminating it already. So I can terminate this myself now. Okay, so I also go to my RDS and select it and stop it temporarily, and later I can delete it. Acknowledge. I'll also go to my VPC, my NAT gateway. I'll delete my NAT gateway. I'll go to my Elastic IP where I have an EIP because these ones attract charges. So I'm taking out everything that attracts charges. I'll release it.
So yeah, I think we eventually didn't use the NAT gateway, right?
Sorry?
So I think we eventually did not use the NAT gateway. We didn't route it to the.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, we eventually didn't use it at all.
Because I didn't go that way, but we didn't need to update anything from the existing AMIs that were provisioned. You know, the reason is that we didn't create the auto-scaling group for the web server, the WordPress and the dev team. We didn't do that, you see, because it is a DevOps area. I needed to SSH from the Bastion host into the existing AMIs, launch template, sorry, that we had, and then I needed to go to my database, right, and attach the RDS to the server before I will create an auto-scaling group. But because some of the commands were not working right, what I'm doing now, I've already done it before, and it worked well. But because I didn't want to go into a lot of DevOps area that will confuse too many, so I didn't want to go there. So that's why I didn't bother myself to create the auto-scaling group for the production team and for the dev test. If that was created and I needed to download anything from the internet, then I would have gone to the route table of the public route table, and I will have updated it. I've deleted the gateway now, so you won't see it again. So if I would have come here now, and anything going out from NAT gateway, oh, it's still there. It didn't delete. So this is what I would have
because
done.
I've not refreshed it.
Yeah, so this is what I would have done so that we could access our console. It's deleted. It will take 1 hour for it to leave. Your instances, your gateway, those ones, takes 1 hour for you to not see it again. But my Elastic IP, I'm wondering, cannot be released. Why will it not be released? You want to eat my money, Abby? These people there. Yeah, so release, come on. Yes, so it's gone. Yeah, so what else again will take your funds? All these Cetficiates Manager, these ones are not, they don't charge you. They will charge you for the key, I think so. What else again? Elastic file system. Well, I might need to delete the access points. I'll do that later anyway. RDS, already stopped it. And the instances have been terminated. Yes, we don't have any instances running again. That's just another page. Route 53. Well, we can just delete the records we created initially. The next thing I want to practice is how I can use Terraform to build everything that I did. So, for you guys, you can focus on CloudFormation, use CloudFormation to build it. So, for me, I don't like CloudFormation. I don't know. I don't just like it. All right. So, thank you very much. I hope you like this lecture. I'm looking forward to more time with you guys and to also learning from you guys. If there are no questions, we can close. But if there are questions, we are open. Timex.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mr. Learned a lot tonight.
Okay, so let's go to my security groups. Delete all those.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so who is recording? I think they've stopped.
Shouldn't stop. We need that recording.
No, are they still recording? We are finished now.